Praises for this day. All right, so we're going to get into the Shabbat class. Going to get into the Shabbat, and we're going to start out with Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by Hashem Hamashayach Yahawashi, giving thanks to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, by Him. All praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, the unspeakable name, the name that gives us life, the name that teaches us right from wrong. All praises to Him. There is no other power besides Him. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, and all praises for the Most High sending His Son, the Hamashiach Yahawashi, on the earth to redeem the 12 tribes of Israel. All praises. The lesson that we are going to speak on today is called Count Your Blessings While You Can. Count your blessings while you can. All right, we have a lot to be thankful for. And let's go to Malachi Chapter 2, verse 2. Malachi 2 and 2. Malachi Chapter 2, verse 2, and it reads, I'll start at verse 1. And now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, saith the Most High of Hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and will curse your blessings. That's why I said, count your blessings, one by one. Yea, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Don't you know when we don't count our blessings, the Most High will lay a curse on us? Be thankful for everything He gives you. You be thankful for everything. The minute you wake up, give Him praise. You know, count every blessing you get, family. Lay it to heart in everything. Let the Most High know you are thankful for the blessings you receive, because the Most High is a jealous power. He gets angry quick sometimes. You never know if His anger is going to be slow to anger or quick to anger. You don't know. You know, this is how the curses started. They all started in our heart. And that's how the Most High got so angry. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 27. Now, this is talking about brethren and women. But you can also look at this as how Solomon was searching the hearts of men and women. Let's start at verse 27. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 27. It says, Behold, this have I found, saith the preacher, counting one by one to find out the account. This is what we have to do, count one by one. Every blessing that you get, count it one by one for a thankful prayer. You know, we have to be circumspect in our blessings, not just trying to keep the commandments, but also in our blessings. Be circumspect and don't forget to give Him praise. Give Him an offering with your words. This is important. I think we forget this. We forget to do this pretty often, most of us, you know. And like I said, you know, pray before you eat and pray after you eat. Pray for everything. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, make it a habit doing things. You make a habit out of saying bad things, make a habit out of saying good things. You know, Genesis chapter 49. Let it come back on your body as a blessing and not a curse. Genesis 49, verse 25. Even when you are about to eat something you shouldn't be eating, you're like, thank you, Most High, for stopping me from eating this garbage. That's a blessing. Genesis 49, verse 25. Even by the Most High of thy Father who shall help you, and by the Almighty who shall bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors, unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brothers. That's us. We're separated from our brothers. Although we are amongst them, a lot of us don't claim that they are brothers. You know, we have to claim our brethren so they can also be a part of the fold. When you separate from your brothers, you're saying you don't want no afflictions at all, to some extent. When you look at the brethren in Corinthians, you had a lot of brothers involved in schisms. Okay, what are schisms? Schisms are different sects, like the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Well, in Corinthians, you had all types of beliefs, all types. You had the, what do they call them? It's the same word the Ibos come out of. It was called the Ebonites, the Ebonites. That was a religion too. They believed in Hamashayach. The Essenides, you know, they dwelt way out. Yeah, different sects, right? These are schisms. When we separate ourselves like that, we forget that our brethren are important. You know, we don't want to partake in their afflictions. The main thing we all have in common is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. That's the main thing. That right there helps us grow by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Although we have all these schisms, and you tend to separate yourselves, when we greet each other in the streets, be cordially. When you greet each other in the streets, be brotherly. Okay? Remind each other about the laws. All right? These things are very important. I think this is one of the biggest problems that we have in today's times, is all these schisms. Let's go to Isaiah 58. It was taught for us to say the Shabbat and not Saturday. It was taught for us to say fringes. We didn't know what fringes are. We had to look that word up. Fringes. What are fringes? You had to learn that. You had to learn to put a border of blue above your fringes at the bottom of your shirt. These are things that were learned. This custom, being an Israelite, it is a custom as well. This is a custom that the Most High gave us. It's something we have to learn. It's Torah portions that teach us our customs. And by doing that, I mean, either someone's going to tell you or you're going to read about it. So it's something that's learned. We are learning. We are new creatures by learning. Isaiah 58 verse 1, and it reads, "Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins." We have to cry. There's a righteous cry, and there's a blasphemous cry. Most of the cries that you hear, the complaints that you hear in the streets or on TV about us testifying and protesting in the streets, it's not a righteous cry because we don't know how to cry to the Father the correct way. You know, we don't even know who our enemies are. Even though we see the injustices done, we can't go on TV and say it's the white man that did it. Our people ain't going to do that. Our people got enough sense not to condemn the white man on national TV, on his television. But we know who it is. We all know it's Esau, but they don't know how to cry righteously. When you see brothers in the truth and they're talking about redlining and things like that, I mean, if you're coming out the world listening to brothers like that, you're like, all this dude's doing is complaining. No, they're not complaining the regular way. They're complaining righteously. We are complaining to the Father. It's a righteous cry. Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness, and forsook not the ordinance of their power. They ask of me the ordinance of justice. That's what our people do. They take delight in approaching to the Most High. You see our churches, that's what they do. You see that in the Christian churches, the Catholic church, every church, Jehovah's Witnesses, they take delight to go to those temples. In the sweat lodge, the Native Americans, they take delight. They go in that thing proudly, thinking they're about to do something special in the sweat lodge. I've seen them sweat lodges. Wherefore have we fasted, say, they and thou seest not. Wherefore have we afflicted ourselves, our souls, and thou takest no knowledge. They go into that place with no knowledge, no understanding. Behold, in the day of your fast, you find pleasure, and exact all your labors. Behold, ye fast for strife. You look at all these other religions, don't they fast? What are they fasting for? They should be fasting on the day that the Most High proclaimed. Day of Atonement, Feast of Unleavened Bread. They should be fasting during those days, but they are fasting unrighteously. It says, behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. It's like a bright idea. Oh, we're going to fast today. Brethren, sisters, we're going to fast today. For healing. Healing of what? What nation are you praying for healing for? Everybody? Don't make any sense. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. It is such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul, Day of Atonement. Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Wilt thou call this a fast? They got Ramadan going on right now, or already had it, for the Muslims. What are they fasting for? What can the Most High do for them? What could he do for Ishmael? Okay? Ishmael hasn't been afflicted. Wilt thou call this a fast, an acceptable day to the Most High? Is not this the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bands of the wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke? Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh. All right, we're supposed to teach this word. That's how you're going to cover them. Then shall thy light break forth as the morning. We're supposed to teach this word. The covering is repentance. That's what the covering is. When Adam and Eve came out of the garden and the Most High had dealt with them, he made them coats of skin. They repented. That's another form of repentance. You put on a brand new coat, just like in Zechariah. The angel came and brought him a brand new garment, brand new mitri. Put on coats of skin. We are putting on that new garment when we repent. All praise to the Most High. When you look at the book of Ezra, chapter 8, the Most High separated the priest when he was trying to get his treasure house in order. The Most High is always separating them, but they have to be in order for him to separate. They have to know what righteousness is versus unrighteousness. Okay? In this particular case of Isaiah 58, our people don't know righteousness. That's why we cry. And so when we look at Isaiah, what is Isaiah? Proverbs 28:9. You know, our people, they pray, they fast, not knowing what the righteous prayer is. And so when they pray, this is what happens. Proverbs 28:9. When they pray, they think that the Most High is going to hear their prayer because they're being afflicted and they want to have mercy on them. But Proverbs 28:9, it says, he that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be abomination. Notice it says, he that turneth away his ear from hearing the law. Very important. The hearing part is how you're going to get out of here. The hearing part is how you're going to save your family members to get out of Babylon. The hearing part. So all the hearing is doing, the hearing is priming you for what's next. Let's go to Romans 10 and 14. Romans 10 and 14. Romans 10 and 14, it reads, how then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? So you got to hear it. And how shall they hear without a preacher? You got to hear this word. That's the first step. Verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. They have not all obeyed the gospel. See that? For Isaiah saith, Most High, who have believed our report? So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Most High. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily, the sound went into all the earth, and the words unto the ends of the world. But I say, did not Israel know? All right, so you have to understand that hearing is the first step. Let's find out what the second step is. Because he said everybody didn't obey. Let's go to James. Hearing is going to prime you to get out of here. The next step is, let's get it, James chapter 1 and verse 22. It reads, this is how you obey, right? You hear it, but then you have to obey. You know, obey requires an action. If it requires an action, that means you got to do something. It says, but be ye doers of the word. Be ye doers. And not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So you got to keep the laws. You have to try and attempt to keep the laws. You can hear, people go to church every Sunday, they hear, but you got to be doers of the law. They leave the church without knowing what one law is. You got to keep the laws. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. See, if you don't do it, you'll never remember. You never know what you're supposed to do. You can hear something. How many of y'all can remember what you heard a week ago, 2 weeks ago, yesterday? Most people don't remember because they don't put it in action. You got to do it. You got to hear it, then you got to do it. Remember when Moses went up Mount Sinai to the burning bush, the Most High gave him commandments. The Most High gave him understanding up there as well. The Most High gave him prophecy up there as well. The first thing he gave him was prophecy. When he got the prophecy, what did he do? He took back to Egypt and he prophesied over Egypt, right? Pharaoh isn't the only one that saw him prophesy. Who else saw him prophesy? Everybody that knew him before he left saw him prophesy. When he prophesied, what happens to the people? Now they are hearers of the prophecy. Because they became hearers of the prophecy, the Most High's mercy fell upon them. Get what I'm saying? Because they are from the progenitors of the fathers. If they hear the prophecy, it's unlocking the chains. If they hear the prophecy, that mercy, even if it's unbelief in their systems, if they hear the gospels, because the prophecy and the gospels are the same thing. They hear the gospels, guess what? The mercy is on them. That's why I tell you, pray over your families, pray over your children, pray over your friends. Just by your friends being around you, the mercy is on them. They don't even know it, even with the unbelief. Even with the unbelief, the mercy is on them. That's how powerful this truth is. I wish we could put on some shades to see the Most High Spirit working. But you got to understand it through the words that the Most High is speaking. It's a spiritual thing, man. This is big. This is bigger than big, and we take it for granted. We think it's so small. It's huge. All praise to the Most High. 28:9, Proverbs 29. He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination. See that? So we got to be able to pray this prayer of righteousness by hearing the law and by doing it. And those who hear it need to change their ways as well. So to cry out loud is to complain righteously. Some people in the world, like I said, don't know the difference. When you look at Ezekiel 9:4, Ezekiel 9:4, and the Most High said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. All right? These men that are sighing and crying, they heard the truth. Their consciousness or their spirit agrees with the truth. And to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite, let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. That's the unbelievers. The unbelief. They're going to get smited when they don't believe 100%. It's like in the wilderness. Didn't our people make it out of Egypt? They made it out of Egypt into the wilderness. And what happened in the wilderness? They was getting smited left from right. They was getting smited because of their unbelief. When we teach, like I said, we are teaching you how to cry and sigh about the abominations in the midst. That's the whole blessing of teaching the Gospels. We are teaching you how to cry righteously. When we travel overseas, when we travel into other countries, the reason why Esau don't want us to take this gospel to other countries is because we're also teaching them how to cry righteously about the abominations done in the midst thereof. You think Esau want that? You think he want everybody knowing the wickedness of this place called Babylon and crying to the Most High about it? He don't want that. That's why he's trying to stop it now. That's why we need all brothers around the world to get this truth and teach righteously and live righteously. We are trying to reach the 12 tribes of Israel all around the world to teach and cry righteously about the evils in this world. Let's go to Exodus chapter 22. It's so bad you could tell a little boy and a little girl the truth, and they go out and they be crying and sighing. They do it at school. They be crying and sighing. We are teaching them to cry and sigh about the abominations going on in the midst. Whether they know it or not, we're teaching them. Exodus chapter 22, verse 23. Exodus chapter 22, verse 23. It reads, if thou afflict them in any wise, who's the them? This is the Israelites. If thou afflict them in any wise, and it's talking specifically about the widows and the fatherless, which is all of us, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry. And my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. The Most High going to reverse it. That's why we teach them, brothers and sisters, to cry and sigh about all the abominations done therein. Cry about the wickedness that's going on in this world. The Most High said, I will surely hear their cry. I will surely hear it if they cry. Remember, this is what the children of Israel did in Egypt. They cried. They cried all together. And that's just a small city. Imagine if the whole world is crying and sighing. We touching brothers all around the world to cry. Let's go to Ezekiel 38 and 14. Ezekiel 38 and 14. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus saith the Most High of hosts, in that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it? Okay, that's all I want. Is Israel dwelling in safety today? Are we dwelling in safety? Think about all the things going on in these third world countries, these other countries. Are we dwelling in safety? People don't think we're Israel, for one. But we are. We're Israel. We're the 12 tribes of Israel. We're dwelling in America, believe it or not, in safety. We're kind of like King David dwelling with the Philistines, his enemy, while he was running from Saul, who was trying to kill him. You know, was he a king then? He wasn't a king yet. So nobody really cared about it, but he made an alliance with the Philistines, right? We ourselves don't realize that we are the 12 tribes of Israel. But it's time that we learn. You know, we dwell in this land at the miseducation of what we've been taught from these captors, and they look at us as creatures, basically, you know, less than 3/5 of a horse. We are in the comfort of our enemies. We're like tame creatures or tame Israelites. We think we are in a paradise because of all the amenities that are around us. We got all these different places to go to, and we could take a 2-day break and go here, and, you know, but we're just miseducated creatures. You know, we've been taught the wrong way. We've been here so long in a strange land that we think everything's okay. Let's go to Sirach chapter 16 and verse 19. Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 19. Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 19. I'll start at 18. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? See, we think we're in safety here, but they're coming. Don't get me wrong. This stuff is coming. Are you ready? It's coming. We see the thing going on in Ukraine right now, and America is trying to bail them out, sending $33 billion. This is the second time they send them money, $33 billion for the infrastructure, let alone the money that they're giving them to come here. I actually probably seen some of these Ukrainians on a plane with me when I came from South America. Whole families, full of bags and everything. They wasn't speaking English. They wasn't speaking Spanish. Okay? They are coming in droves over here. America is trying to, what's that scripture in Malachi? It says, they shall build, but I shall throw down. The Most High is going to throw down all their kingdoms. They will not be able to stand because they are the border of wickedness. Esau is going to rebuild the cities that are broken down. And right now what you're seeing is Esau going against Esau. I don't want to go too far into this. But at this point, inflation is skyrocketing. You know, people can barely afford things. And when you look over at Russia, Putin is a bigger mastermind than what they thought. Putin has his whole, when you look at Russia, he has that whole system wrapped up in him. All the people set up in place are all put in place by him. He set up the trade system. He set up everything. It's built like a pyramid with traps. So America's trying to figure out where his money is, and it's tied up in everything. Everything, even in other countries. But they can't find out how to get to it when Putin was there during the times of Gorbachev and the family after. So they want to kill him at this point. But the Most High is in charge of this thing. He dealeth in the kingdom of men. You know, America got to deal with him. They want to kill him right now. Best believe they want to kill him. They want to poison him. They want to go after his daughters, his 3 daughters. They want to get to him any way they can. Keep your eye on that, because America is going to end up being pulled into that whole war. You know what I mean? They already are. They're in it. But just keep your eye on it. You know what I mean? The thing, like I always keep saying, is he's using old weapons in that land of Ukraine. He got modern day weapons that matches the U.S. Whether or not the U.S. can get to him in time before he uses them, that's the question. That's the question. How many of you remember the movie back in, I think it was early 2000s, 2008, 6, don't quote me on that, but it was an early movie with Tom Cruise. It was a movie called The War of the Worlds. Do you remember how that whole thing started? The War of the Worlds? Okay. It started with Ukraine. Why are all these movies are always focusing in on the capitals of Edom? Right? But Ukraine is where it started, and it was an old alien civilization that was able to get up under the ground before they even knew what was going on. It's kind of like Russia, what Russia's doing in Ukraine. Even though Ukraine is the mother of Russia, Putin has been plotting for years and years to get the USSR back on its feet. Let me show you this clip real quick, and we'll keep on with the lesson. But I thought this was pretty interesting. Let's watch.
The Ukraine, a country of some 52 million people, is in almost total blackness tonight in the wake of a series of freakish lightning storms of catastrophic proportion, which struck the country at approximately 4 a.m. local time.
This is on War of the Worlds.
EMP, or electromagnetic pulse, which causes a temporary interruption of all electrical current within its field. As in the Ukraine, there are scattered reports that the EMP here was followed by seismic activity on the scale of an earthquake, measuring 6.5 on the Richter scale.
Yeah, so it's pretty ironic. And when you watch this movie, it's more ironic to see the plot of it, which began with a war and which ended with a plague. And it's almost like a drum roll for what's going on today. You got a war in Ukraine, and you got COVID going all over the place with new variants of Omicron. So it's pretty interesting how all of this is playing out. Just keep your eyes open. That's all I like to say. Let's look at this verse in 2nd Ezra. All right. But when we read this verse, it says the beginning of the sorrows and great mournings. That's why I said this stuff is coming. Verse 19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. We've been through this before, but we're going to go through it again. We've been through it in captivity. We've been through it when they came into our countries and slain us. But we're going to go through it again. This is the last days right here. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, talking about our people, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Like, brother, I ain't going to say his name, but the brother was telling me about his daughter was talking to him, and they live out in Sacramento. His daughter was saying, how come you never go to no clubs, Dad? And he said, didn't you just see what happened 2 weeks ago? They was shooting in the streets. They killed all them different people with AKs and Uzis and everything else. And she was like, oh, I forgot. Only 2 weeks went by that happened. She already done forgot. Our people think that they're in safety when they're not. They forget so quick. Okay? There's troubles all around us. And our people are forgetting what happened within a lick of a week. Not knowing it can happen again. Verse 20, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, see that? Nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. Most of our people think they're in a good case now. You know, they can purchase whatever they want. They can go to Walmart and get whatever they want and feel like they're in a good case. Walmart was made for the low income. Walmart was made for minimum wage makers. What's the minimum wage? $15. Where else could you go and buy all these different things if it ain't Walmart or Amazon? They know what they're doing. The things that they've set up have been set up to make us feel like we're in a good case. So they can't afford things like TVs and movies and microwaves and food, etc. You know, all that type of stuff. everything is packaged for our desire. We're always looking for a good deal. They got a little money. We're always looking for a good deal. That's because victuals in America have become so cheap. You think this place is all that in a bag of chips, meaning a lot of our people pride their minds to believe that America is the best place to be on the earth. When they travel into other places, travel into other countries, and they see how much the dollar is worth in those places. $1 worth $1,000 in a third world country. So now you think that the indoctrination that you got from America is king. You believe in this place. You'd be like, where else can I live? I'm living in the best place in the world. This miseducation that we received, we believe that it's above all others, even above the Most High's. The Most High is not concerned with these things. He's not concerned with this education, with these medical things, these medical terms. They do these these doctors, they go into other countries and they do these sabbaticals, right? And they do things for free. It's not really done for free. It's like a funding that these hospitals send these doctors out there to do all these different surgeries and things like that. People who need cataracts removed. And these people in other countries think America is God. They're sending gods to these countries to heal them. I mean, you got people that's lined up for miles and miles coming to these doctors that are performing these cataracts with all this different technology. They're in and gave up their religion just that quick. They gave up everything their fathers and mothers have taught them because of these doctors, these witch doctors going into their land. They're performing these cataract surgeries with all these different technologies that they're bringing with them and taking back. And the problem is the people start to look at these doctors as the only ones that can heal them, and they start to look down on their own doctors. And so that's the problem. Now you're losing faith with the people in your own country to get healed by some doctors coming from, countries like America and Europe. That's an issue. That's a huge issue when it comes to trust in your own government. And so that's going on all over the world in different third world countries and so forth. But like I said, it's a blessing and it's a curse all at the same time. And the only way I see that they could possibly restore it is to train those doctors who are there to do those types of surgeries. If they could do that, instead of just going there with their expertise and leaving with their expertise, if they could go there and teach others how to do it, then yeah, that'll be significant. But, that's the way that the world is set up, to look at the high and mighty of the eagle more so than their own people. See, these doctors, they have to realize that we've always had doctors of our own. They don't know the Most High is not playing with them. If they come there thinking that they're higher than, mightier than anyone else, the Most High will bring destruction on them. If you go into Jeremiah, yes, Jeremiah 46 and 11. Look at Jeremiah 46 and 11. I'm just going to kind of breeze through this because getting away from what I was talking about. Jeremiah 46 and 11, it reads, "Go up into Gilead and take balm, O virgin, the daughter of Egypt," because this is spiritually known as Egypt. "In vain shalt thou use medicines, for thou shalt not be cured." A lot of these people getting cataracts, they turn around and get cataracts again. You have to realize this is not going to save us. Run into these doctors of no value. Like Job said, these are doctors of no value. When you look at the New Testament, we had our own doctors. We had Demas. When Paul was speaking about Demas was a physician. Luke, he was a physician, the Apostle Luke. When you look at Joseph when he was in Egypt, and he wanted to embalm his father, he called on the physicians of Egypt. So these physicians knew to take orders from Joseph because he was the man of the Most High, and he was a leader in Egypt as well. So what I'm saying is that we must have our own doctors. We must have our own doctors. We had them in the medieval times. Our doctors were sent from Portugal into Africa to go into captivity. We had a lot of doctors in Africa. Okay, and a lot of our people have lost that trait. They have lost that skill. Just so you know that these are doctors of no value if they are not sharing this information with our doctors. All this too that we're reading about is all part of prophecy. And it goes into the 10th power. When it talks about that we would dwell in our enemy's land for safety. It's only for a small time, family. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. And it reads, "And to the woman," who is the woman? The woman is Israel. "And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might flee into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent." We are being nourished now. "And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood." What is that water as a flood? Lies. "After the woman." So Israel is no longer Israel according to the mind. Israel has been miseducated and now believes lies. "That he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth," what is the earth? The earth is this Bible. The earth are the artifacts of the Israelites. The earth are these books with these artifacts in the earth telling us about all these explorers who have seen the Israelites in certain places of the world by their customs, by their hair, by their dress attire, by the things they've done. Okay? This is how the earth helped the woman. The earth is putting forth all the seeds of knowledge for us to grab it and teach others. "And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth." So what happened? All this knowledge that we have, now we're able to circumspect our knowledge into seeing what's right from wrong. Where we're able to cry and sigh about all the abominations in the midst. And this is what the serpent or the dragon don't want. They want us to continue to drink these lies down. They want us to continue to be flooded out where we don't know nothing and depend on it. Okay? The serpent is still doing his job. The serpent is still condemning and still going out and stealing and killing and raping and doing these things that's in the earth today. Nothing has changed. Verse 17, "And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High, and have the testimony of Yahawashi." This is why they don't want this truth to get out. This is why they don't want us going into third world countries teaching it. Right? This is why they don't want us going into Nicaragua, into the Magway of Costa Rica. Okay? All down in the Hutar of Costa Rica. El Huaco of the Hutar of Costa Rica, as the brothers would say. Right? Joreca of the Hutar of Costa Rica. Limon of Costa Rica. All these brothers and sisters down there, man. I was on a cart, and I was trying to figure out how can I get to these brothers, because most of the brothers down there, the history has been like thrown away down there. It's like they don't have nothing to reach for down there. And it's just like the scriptures say in Deuteronomy 33, 13 through 19. We can go there in a minute. But it talks about Zebulon, right? And when you see all the different things that the scriptures prophesied about, it falls almost identically in line with what the scriptures are saying. But when I was talking to the brothers and sisters, the history, they are hiding the history. The history has been so washed down that these brothers and sisters don't even care. They're trapped into the tourism world of trying to make money because it's a poor economical place. So they're trapped into the tourism mode. And those who live in the small towns are either doing construction or working in the volcanoes. Okay? The volcano is an asset for the brothers and sisters down there. They turn it into electricity because steam comes from the volcanoes. And so they figured out a way to manufacture that steam into electricity. All right. And so a lot of them do that for a living, or they make food, or they make little artifacts. But for the most part, all them brothers down there, I don't care what y'all hear in America about brothers saying that the Native Americans are not Israelites. They're Israelites, y'all. They're Israelites. They look like Israelites. They act like Israelites. And it's a splash of them with brothers down there. It's so saturated that you can't realize who's who. This is why we have to cry inside about all the abominations done in the midst of, so they can get the truth and spread the truth. Right? These lies and abominations we receive from this dragon is destroying us all as a nation. You know, and we are not just any old nation. We are the 12 tribes of Israel, who in spirit have been reduced to a few in number. Although we are many in the physical that are not even in the spirit, those of us who are in the spirit, like the scripture says in Deuteronomy 28, look at Deuteronomy 28 and 62, this is part of the curse. And this curse is real. If you don't believe that this curse is real, then you wouldn't understand. But Deuteronomy 28 and 62, what does it say? It says, and ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Most High thy power. That few in number is talking about those in the truth. It's not saying few in number as far as our bodies, because that happened already. The physical part of us being destroyed has already happened. During the time of captivity, during the time when they took over the land of the Americas and of Africa. You know, they took over those lands. Oh yeah, and it's going to happen one more time because Zechariah prophesied that two-thirds are going to be cut off and die. 2/3, and 1/3 is going to be left. So it's coming back. The physical is coming back. Two-thirds of our people will be cut off and die. Okay? As we look on in the physical, this has happened with the birth pains of captivity, as I said. But during that time, we were killed, we were raped, we were slaughtered, we were mocked. Can you imagine how we were mocked in those days? Can you imagine? Can you imagine how they killed us? Can you imagine how they beat us? Can you just imagine it? No horrific movie can show it to you, rather you be in there and seeing it. Horrificness, man. Now it's all spiritual. We are completely without knowledge of the Most High. The desire to know the Most High is there. That's why you see it in the Christian churches. We have a desire, but not according to knowledge. The Most High said he's going to take it away from us in Hosea 4 and 6. He did. He took that knowledge away from us. Not only did he take the knowledge away from us, he took our work ethic away from us from staying in the truth. The work ethic is what? Keeping the law, statutes, commandments. You know, a work ethic is what we're having today with our generation, just going to work. They can't work 5 days straight. Some of these brothers, you got to take off 2 days within the 5 days. They end up losing their job. Work ethic is serious. You got to have a good work ethic in the truth. You got to be able to keep the Sabbath. You got to be able to keep the laws to the best of your ability. You got to be able to have a heart to say no. Some people can't say no. You got to be able to say no in the truth. The Most High teaches you how to say no. You know what I mean? He teaches you how to be hard. This is why we must cry louder This is why we must seek him 10 times more. You know what I mean? Let's go to Psalms chapter 10. Psalms chapter 10, verse 17. And that's funny because you got some Christians that can't say no. They just think that they're doing wrong by saying no. The Most High teaches you when you keep his laws how to say no and when to say no. And it's a sad thing because it's just showing weakness when you don't have to show weakness all the time. Psalms chapter 10, verse 17. The Most High, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. If we cry inside, these people won't be able to oppress us anymore. It says, thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed. And when it says to hear, we spoke about that earlier. It's not only to the hearers, but to the doers of the law, remember? Those who obey, heard, and turned around and did. So to judge means that you have studied the law. You have obeyed the Most High's voice by studying the law. Now you can judge or warn those who do not understand judgment. You can warn those who do not study the law. So that's what it means. It says to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the men of the earth may no more oppress, because we know right from wrong. We know what oppression is. We know why the oppression is there. So it's understanding that comes from learning the Most High's laws once you hear to do what's right. Psalms chapter 12 and 5. Psalms chapter 12, verse 5. For the oppression of the poor, for the sighing of the needy, sigh and cry, nor will I arise, saith the Most High. I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him. The words of the Most High are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. That's why we have to learn this word. It purifies you. You ain't got to pull a little string and be a puppet like the purifier brothers anymore. The Most High is, when we keep his commandments, going to be swift with his judgments. And we want him to be swift with his judgments. Like I said, with the brother's daughter, she could remember that there was just an assault on many people in Sacramento 2 weeks before. But if the Most High sharpens his judgments because we're sighing and crying, and they start happening quicker, our people won't forget as quick, because now they're going to see the judgments that the Most High is laying at hand. Get what I'm saying? The quicker the judgments come for our people who are doing wicked things like injuring others or hurting others, the quicker that judgment come on them, before it can be washed under the rug and we see it, we're going to recognize something in the spirit is working. You know, we're going to see the end of the matter before it could be dealt with in the courts. We need to recognize his hand swiftly in this forgetful generation. We need to see it quicker and faster with those who are unrighteous. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 29 and 18. You think about Egypt, when Moses prophesied, how quick did that prophecy come to pass? Quickly, boom, right? You said he's going to send frogs. Boom, it happened within hours. He said he's going to send flies. Boom, it happened just like that. He said he's going to cast the water in the blood. Boom, happened just like that. Can you imagine those judgments coming that fast? Wouldn't that be a little scary? But the Most High could sharpen, and he could move these judgments that fast. No longer will it be moving slow. That's how you know it's going to be time for us to go. Isaiah chapter 29, verse 18. Isaiah 29, verse 18. And it reads, "And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book." And this ain't talking about somebody who can't hear, somebody who got a physical ear problem. This is talking about our brothers and sisters that we see and talk to every day. They're deaf to the words of the Most High. "And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness." How's that going to happen? When the Most High starts doing things quickly. You say it, then it happened. Boom. Our people are in darkness. Look at Isaiah 60 and 2. And we'll come right back to this verse. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 2. Isaiah 60, verse 2. "For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people." What is darkness? Darkness is not being in the faith of the Most High, in the faith of Hamashayach, not keeping the law, statutes, commandments, not being a brother to your brethren. "But the Most High shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." His glory is going to be seen upon you. You're going to be prophesying, and this stuff is going to be coming to pass quickly. Isaiah chapter 29, verse 19. Isaiah chapter 29, verse 19. "The meek also shall increase their joy in the Most High, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off." We have to see that in order to believe. The children of Israel in Egypt, if they didn't see all those things happen, they wouldn't have believed, because they were all in unbelief. They didn't believe a word Moses was saying to Pharaoh prior to that. Even when he put his hand in his bosom and pulled it out, they forgot about that. You know, they forgot about it quick. They started condemning him and saying, "Oh, you brought more hell on us." That's what they were saying when he went to Pharaoh. Now we got to work with bricks and straw. Before we didn't have, this. Now we got this. Now we don't have this. They were just complaining. Verse 21. "That make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught." That's how they did Moses. That's how they're going to do us. Here we are prophesying, and they turn around and reprove us, right? Telling us that we're doing wrong, that we're not going according to the world. "Therefore, thus saith the Most High, who redeemed Abraham, concerning the house of Jacob: Jacob shall not be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale." Meaning these prophecies are going to come to pass. They're going to come to pass. We're not going to be ashamed. We're not going to wax pale. Verse 23. "But when he seeth his children, the work of mine hands in the midst of him, they shall sanctify my name, and sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and shall fear the Most High of Israel." Give him blessings. "They also that erred in spirit shall come to understanding," right? All those who were in unbelief are going to come to understanding. "And they that murmured shall learn doctrine," right? All these people that talk bad about you, they're going to learn this doctrine. Let me ask you, of the 12 tribes of Israel, of Judah, of Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Reuben, Gad, Zebulun, let's see if I remember, Issachar, Dan, Asher, Naphtali, and Joseph. Out of those 12 tribes, what kind of man and woman out of those 12 tribes, because I know we all come from them, what kind of man or woman are you? Are you of the earth, or are you of the spirit? You know what I mean? Are we of the earth, or are we of the spirit? To do righteously is to give ear to instructions. When we keep the laws, we are of the spirit. In the world, when you want to be a part of something like a club, a job, or even a team, don't you have to follow the rules? Every one of them things I mentioned, they're all set with guidelines and rules. Every single one of them. A lot of them even make you pay dues or fees to be a part of that club, just to stay in it. Well, if you think about it, the Most High also has rules. To be spiritual, there are rules to be spiritual. And that's to follow his laws, and that's to follow Yahawashi. There's rules. Why do people think that you don't have to follow no rules to be in this truth? Why do people think all you got to do is go to church on Sunday in a nice suit and leave, and you're part of the club? There's no rules in the Christian church, but just to be nice, right? And to be cordial in the church. But show me a man without rules, and I'll show you a man that's wild and broken. Most of them are wild and broken. They're just deaf, dumb, and blind. What are deaf, dumb, and blind? They look like quiet people with demons. Quiet people with demons. That's what a Christian is. A quiet with demons. Don't start listening to their opinion. Don't start listening to their opinion. They will do a 1-2 on you. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. So they got to be earthly if they ain't spiritual. Most of those people in the churches. The Most High calls it the congregation of the dead, those churches. So in order to be spiritual, we all know that you have to keep his laws to the best of your ability. 1 Corinthians 15 and 47. 1 Corinthians 15 and 47, it says, I'll let y'all get there. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 47. I'll start at 45 and read down so we can get the context. It says, and so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Right? This is Yahawashi. Howbeit that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth, earthy. A lot of our people are still earthy. They're still earthy. They mock you when you wear your fringes. They mock you when you say, I don't eat crab or shrimp. You ain't got to even say pork. Say, I don't eat crab or shrimp. We went to a restaurant once, me and my wife, and the lady said, do you have any food allergies? Because she was about to order some fish. She said, I don't eat no shellfish. So the lady brought her something. She brought her some miso soup. And in that miso soup, which is supposed to be a vegetable base, on the top floating on it was pork. So you have to be specific when you're telling people what you want. If they ask for food if you have any food allergies, even if they don't ask you, you tell them anyway. I don't eat no shellfish. I don't eat no pork. Make sure nothing has it in it. Because they will bring something out. You got to remember, Satan is working through all these people who ain't keeping the laws. He's working through all of them. Especially when your guard is down, that's when he gets you. That's when he mostly gets you. When your guard is completely down. It says, the first man is of the earth. The second man is of the Most High from heaven. As is the earthly, such are they that are earthy. We are dealing with earthy people every day. And as the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly. And as we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Your thinking, your physical frame, believing that this body is going to redeem you, you have to have a different way of thinking. Neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. See that? Look at, if you look up the word heavenly, if you look up the word corruption, if you look up the word incorruption, you'll see the definitions, or if you look up at the thesaurus, that's probably better. If you look up at the thesaurus and look at the words of corruption, incorruption, and heavenly, and you'll see a difference in all three of those. You know, like if I pull up one right now, if I pull up corruption, right? Let's see. If I pull up corruption, it says corruption, dishonest, erroneous or debased, manipulation, falsification, decay, breakdown. This is all part of corruption. Okay? Now, would you want to be in that bracket? Corruption, being dishonest and manipulation, and nobody wants any of these qualities. When you look up incorruption, let's see what the incorruption is. So, incorruption, it's got to be the opposite of corruption, right? When you look up incorruption, because it got the N in front of it. So, incorruption, it says to be free from, to be free from physical decay. Physical decay, see that? To increase. Courage is part of incorruption. Fairness is part of incorruption. Morality, purity, integrity is part of incorruption. How many people that you know who don't have integrity? Justice, righteousness, goodness, and honesty. All of those are qualities of incorruption. So this is what Yahawashi is talking about. We have to be free from this physical decay by being incorruptible beings by keeping his laws. The laws are incorruptible, right? What else can make you incorruptible? Mercy works two ways. If you just say here, mercy is temporary. It lasts only for so long. If you are a doer of the word, mercy lasts forever. The Most High says, his love endures forever. Mercy endures forever only when you do his will. If you don't do his will and you just say here, it's temporary. You got to look at it that way. It's like something that wears off. It's like the COVID-19 shot. That's mercy. It wears off. You know what I mean? That's mercy. The Most High give you mercy. It's only for a short period of time for you to get in line and keep them laws where you can have something that will keep you from decaying completely. We have the pill. The pill is the laws and following Yahawashi. But Christians always talk about, oh, I got mercy and grace. That's for a short period of time. That ain't going to last too long. That might get you into the kingdom, but it might destroy you once you get there. Like Yahawashi said, I never knew you. Yeah, your mercy got me here. Your mercy got you in front of the Most High. But it ain't enough to get you all the way through. You get what I'm saying? Heavenly. Let's look up the word heavenly. Blissful. Blissful. Beautiful. This is part of heavenly. Belonging to. Excellence. I want to belong to a heavenly state. Excellence. Resembling. I want to resemble heavenly. Exquisite. Exquisite. You know, I think of a cuisine, exquisite cuisine. That's what I think of. Divine, celestial, angelic is heavenly. A lot of brothers are angelic. A lot of sisters are angelic. When you take this word and you prophesy to somebody, you're being angelic. Or you preventing them from breaking God's laws, you're being angelic. You're taking a message to someone, an angelic message. I like that. Wonderful. Godlike. Superhuman. Most of us want to be superhuman. Be heavenly. Enjoyable. Extraterrestrial. Now you know the meaning to be a little extra than the normal terrestrials. It's to be heavenly. All right. All of these things is like showing you what's the difference between heavenly corruption and incorruption. Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 50. We all want to be heavenly. We all want to be incorruptible. It says, "Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, in the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality." Y'all ready for immortality? We're going to go back into our proper state that Adam was in, being immortal. But prior to that, we have to pass the test, right? We have to pass the test. And that test is dealing with us being sinless. Hebrews chapter 10, we have to be sinless, right? We have to practice on being sinless, to be incorruptible, to be immortal. And that's what the world don't teach us, how to be sinless. They don't teach us that. Just like they don't teach us how to go out and create our own businesses, they also don't teach us how to be sinless. They teach us how to be sinful. Just look at the stuff they put on TV. Look at the stuff that's in the world. Go to a festival out and about, watch all the stupid things you see that's set up at the festival. Look at the people who come out to the festival and nobody's correcting them, right? That's not being sinless, that's being sinful. Hebrews chapter 10, even the food is sinful. The liquor is sinful. The wine is sinful, right? It's all blended with things that we shouldn't even be drinking. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 16. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 16. "This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith the Most High. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them, and their sins and iniquities will I remember no more." So this is what we're working to do. We're working to be sinless, and we're working to hold fast to prophecies, right? So we can bestow mercy on our brothers and sisters and on ourselves. When will we perfect this? Let's get a scripture to show when will we perfect this. All right, let's look at the words of the Most High. Let's go to Romans. This is why the Most High said, "How beautiful are the feet that run out to teach the Gospels." Because we are putting mercy on the brothers and sisters, right? But we're also teaching the laws. We are so much more sustainable than the churches, than the Christian churches. So much more sustainable. They go back every Sunday because they need that little bit of dose of mercy to get to the next week, right? We're different. Whether we have class or not, we have something that's going to stick in our bones. You know, if chaos hit the world today and we couldn't connect, guess what? We got the laws. The laws are going to stay within us, regardless of these classes. The laws are not going anywhere. The mercy stays with us. We won't have to hear somebody teach it anymore. We'll have it in us. This is what the Most High is trying to teach us right now. Gather yourselves right now before everything stops, so you can have all these laws and these Torah portions in you, and the understanding of how to fight the wiles of Satan when all this stuff crashes. We're going to be ready, right? Romans 11 and 27. When COVID-19 hit, they was losing their mind. They didn't know what to do, right? They was going out there sinning again because they couldn't get to their programs. Then all of a sudden they wanted to do the little things on the YouTube, not the YouTube, the, what do you call it, where you can see each other on the, they started to do Skype all of a sudden because so many people was walking away from Christianity. They didn't have nothing to sustain them. Romans chapter 11, verse 27. Romans 11:27. For this is my covenant unto them when I shall take away their sins. All right, so he's going to take away our sins. Look at verse 26. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written. So that's going to be a small remnant, and that small remnant that teach, we're going to save others. That's going to make it somewhere else before they are chastised, before they get into the kingdom. There shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob, meaning we're going to be sinless. For this is my covenant unto them, which I shall take away their sins. All right, all praises. How often have you struck up a conversation with the Joe Blow who never knew about keeping the laws or hearing the Gospels? Probably about 97%, 99.9%, most of us. Most people ain't heard this truth. Look at Romans 11:28. As concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sake. Most of them brothers are enemies for your sake when they don't turn to the gospels. But as touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sake. What do you mean, touching the election? They're still of the 12 tribes of Israel. The Most High still loves them. Even though they're your enemies for the Most High's sake, for the gospel's sake, the Most High still loves them. The Most High can still bestow his mercy on them. For the gifts and calling of the Most High are without repentance. Okay? This is talking about what? That mercy that they're going to get, even though they didn't repent for a little while. For as ye in times past have not believed the Most High, yet have now obtained mercy through their unbelief. How did they get mercy? Through their unbelief. How did that happen? Through you. They're getting that mercy through you, brothers and sisters. Even so have these also now not believed, that through your mercy they also may obtain mercy. Through your mercy they're going to get mercy. Isn't that heavy? Through your mercy. Here you trying to get a brother to wake up. He ain't listening. He got some mercy. He got a ticket of mercy that's going to expire soon. It's going to expire, but he got mercy. For the Most High have concluded them all in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all. Oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High. How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out. We'll never know. We'll never know, right? All praise to the Most High. Look at, it's just a beautiful thing when the Most High breaks stuff down to you like that. Because just like in Egypt, when Moses was sent by the Most High to Egypt, like I said, to preach the gospel, even those that heard Moses that was in unbelief still got to flee through the Most High's mercy, through their fathers, through their forefathers. However, they were still killed in the wilderness because of their unbelief. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 3, verse 16. Hebrews 3 and 16. It said, Hebrews 3 and 16, for some, when they had heard, did provoke. Howbeit, not all that came out of Egypt by Moses. But with whom was he grieved 40 years? Who was he grieved by 40 years? The unbelieving Israelites. Was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcasses fell in the wilderness? And to whom swore he that they should not enter into his rest? But to them that believe not. So we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief. See that? So the mercy got them out of Egypt, but in the wilderness, their unbelief killed them because they didn't believe. Same thing gonna happen again. Look at Isaiah 11 and verse 11. Isaiah 11, verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Most High shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people which shall be left. from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble them out of the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Judah is all over the place. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim had land wherever he was. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. So we're going to be brought back to the kingdom. See that? He's going to get us from every place upon the earth, even those with the mercy. Remember in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, Paul was talking about marriage, and he said the believing wife will save her unbelieving husband, and the believing husband will save his unbelieving wife. That's the mercy. That's the mercy of Hamashayach Yahawashi that was given to him by the Most High, given to us to do the same thing, provide that mercy. Ezekiel chapter 20. Ezekiel chapter 20. Ezekiel chapter 20, and let's go to verse 34. Ezekiel 20 and 34. Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 34. And it reads, "And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out." Now this ain't Egypt. This is talking about now. He's going to do this in the last days. "And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face." He's going to do the same thing he did with our forefathers. "Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt." So this is telling you right here, this ain't talking about when Moses left Egypt. This is talking about the new wilderness. "So will I plead with you, saith the Most High of Hosts." Why? Because all these brothers and sisters that got a hold of our mercy gonna make it. They're gonna be in the wilderness. And they're going to have to prove themselves that they don't have any unbelief. "And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me." This is the end of that matter. "I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am the Most High thy power." See that? The Most High is going to show us. Those with unbelief, they will get there through our preaching of the Gospels, which brought mercy to them. But they will be, all of these brothers and sisters are going to be tried again. You know, they're going to start lusting after things, and it's going to be their downfall. So just like mercy was bestowed unto our brethren by teaching and preaching, it was bestowed unto us first through Hamashayach Yahawashi. When you read, let's read this verse. Let's go to, this will be the last verse. It's 12:07. Let's go to 1 Timothy. Show you how that mercy works. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 12. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 12. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 12. And it reads, "And I thank Hamashayach Yahawashi, our power, who have enabled me." He enabled him. "For that he counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry, who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious. But I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. And the grace of our power was exceeding abundant, with faith and love which is in Hamashayach Yahawashi." See that? I can receive this mercy through him to teach the Gospels. Be thankful for that mercy. All praise. And with that, I'm going to end this class.
This is the word of the Lord of hosts. I took you from the pastures and from following the sheep to be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have destroyed all the enemies in your path. I will make you a great name among the great ones of the earth. I will assign a place for my people in Israel. There I will plant them, and they shall dwell in their own land.